I think when it comes to identifying influencers, the best ones to work with are like the ones that suit your target market that you're looking for, and it takes trial and error.
Hey, my name is Felix Tia, and I'm the host of Shopify Masters, a weekly podcast powered by Shopify, the easiest way to sell online, in person, and anywhere in between. Each week, we invite entrepreneurs like you to share what they've learned growing successful e-commerce businesses. In this episode, you'll learn what is the golden trifecta rule for choosing products, how to identify influencers for Instagram influencer marketing, and what does an ideal influencer marketing deal look like. Before we get into our show, I wanted to take a moment to talk about the Shopify App Store. Shopify apps help you easily customize and add features to your store to make it your own. The App Store hosts over 4,000 apps built specifically for Shopify businesses. Shopify developers all over the world built these apps to help you save time and unlock a range of new features, from showing your Instagram feed on your store to offering loyalty rewards and more. Check out shopify.com/app store for the latest Shopify apps. Today I'm joined by Emily and Nathan from Healthish. Healthish sells health-based products that help you live a healthish lifestyle. Started in 2016 and is a seven-figure business. Welcome, Emily and Nathan.
Thanks, Felix. Thanks so much for having us.
Yeah, so the story started with, I think it was you, Emily, that wanted to start, just had an idea, had a desire to start an online physical product business, and you had a few ideas. Is that how the inspiration struck you?
Yeah, so I have a background in accounting. So I had just quit my job, my corporate job, and I spent 6 months after that just completely in denial about not knowing what I was going to do next. I just really didn't want to go back to the corporate life. Mm-hmm. So after seeing Nathan working on his own business, I was really inspired to start up something of my own. So, he encouraged me to start an online business with a physical product, and that was Healthish. Yeah, so I did the Start and Scale course taught by Greta Van Riel. So she was one of the winners of the Shopify Build Your Business award a few years ago. So she's a real expert in this field. So it was really helpful because just to get the business up and running, because I know it can be overwhelming and daunting to begin with.
Right. So for someone that is starting from scratch like you, that might be listening out, or that like you did, that might be listening out there, what were some of the most important and critical skills that you felt like had the most impact early on when you were starting your business?
So for me, it was just mainly like persevering with the idea, and also just always being on top of like the steps on how to manufacture a product. And I don't know whether that answers the question, but
yeah, and basically, so you obviously wanted to start an online business, a physical product business, and decided on a couple ideas, right? First, we gave a quick introduction for the both of you, but tell us about the flagship product that you guys have.
Yeah, so the flagship product is a time-marked water bottle. So one thing that Emily found was that a lot of people can't keep up with their daily hydration levels, and there wasn't really a physical product or a bottle that looked great that allowed you to do that. So on one half of the bottle, it has the first half of the day, and then the second half of the bottle, it has the other half of the day. So if you drink, they say you should drink 2 liters of water a day. So if you fill it up 2 times and follow the time indicators on the bottle, you can actually get your daily intake of 2 liters of water a day. So that's the flagship product.
Yeah, I definitely took a look at the website, and the product is certainly ingenious. I think that it makes a lot of sense. But it sounded like you also had other ideas. Are you willing to share what some of these other ideas are and why this one in particular made the cut?
Yeah, of course. It's a bit embarrassing, but I came up with like makeup brush ideas, like a holder, iPhone accessories. I'm trying to think what else. Just I wrote a list of 50 product ideas. Can't remember them off the top of my head, but those were, the ones that, I I was most interested in. I decided on the bottle just because, low cost to produce, just easy to manufacture. So I think that was one of the main reasons we started it. Also, the fact that I'm always dehydrated. So
Solve
I
your
can
own
kind
problem.
of practice what I preach.
Yeah. So what was your process for like ideations? I think a lot of listeners out there might also have the same desire as you, where they want to start an online business, a physical product business, but they have a lot of ideas that they've kind of tossed around their head and are maybe wanting to sit down and really create that master list to work off of. What is your recommendation for people out there that are stuck on choosing an idea and just kind of want to create like a hit list of top choices that they might want to work off of?
Yeah, so I don't know whether Nathan wants to talk about, there's this rule called the golden trifecta rule in the start and scale course. So
maybe I'll jump in, Felix. So look, I have another company. It's called Founder, and we produce all sorts of content around entrepreneurship, and we also do online courses, and we have like at least 20 plus courses, and one of them is taught by one of my friends, and she's really successful at e-commerce, and she's the person that won Shopify Build a Business. So one thing that she taught Emily when it comes to finding ideas is you need to find what Emily said is the golden trifecta, where you need to find a product that's lightweight, so it's easy to ship and the cost of shipping is low. It has high perceived value, and it's relatively cost affordable to produce, and it's trending. So what Emily did was she worked through at least 20 to 50 ideas, and you just got to be just really kind of realistic on if you think that idea can really do well. One thing that I think was really important when choosing the list of ideas for me personally, not only does it have to be easy to ship and lightweight and cost affordable to produce with a high perceived value, but it has to be a trending product because, look, I think if you want to create a successful physical product business, one thing that's really, really important from my perspective in the business to consumer space is, being able to move the product and sell it online. And that's where Instagram comes into play. So it's a very, very visual product. And we kind of had an idea that, a lot of people spend money on things like drink bottles, and they're prepared to spend more money than just like a kind of a they don't see it as I guess you could say, a everyday product. People are prepared to spend a premium amount, pay a premium price for a fashionable product or a product that looks great. And so that's why I thought that it was a really good product. So I think you need to really focus on, what looks visually good, because I think being able to sell on Instagram has been a really big game changer for us as well. And it follows what I said, like the golden trifecta.
Got it. Okay, so the golden trifecta: lightweight, which means easy to ship, high perceived value, and cost affordable to produce. And then sound like you guys had later another one on top, which is that it should be a trending product. So I want to talk about the high perceived value. How do you I guess evaluate that when you are looking at your list of ideas? How do you evaluate whether a product has high perceived value or not?
Well, I think one thing that's really, really important is doing your customer research on what people are buying or what your competitors are buying. So we know that there's other companies out there that are making a lot of money selling water bottles. And I knew that if we made the design really, really good, which I think it is, and maybe it's something we're often complimented by with the Healthish water bottle, that the value perception would be high. So I think that's a really good thing for people to take away, is making sure, you spend a lot of money. Let me say that again, sorry. I think that's a really good thing for people to take away, is taking the time to make sure your product design is really good, because that really ramps up the perceived value. And sorry, Emily?
Yeah, so I think one of our selling points that that differentiates us between all the other competitors of water bottle brands, is that we have the time indicators. So people are willing to pay more for that as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so the product design you mentioned, like the markers on the water bottle and probably things like packaging, all of that goes into product design. What was that process like? How did you make sure that you had a product that was visually stunning, visually attractive, so that, which we'll get into in a bit about how important that is in a much more visual world like the world of Instagram. So tell us more about that process of designing the product itself.
Yep. So I worked closely with a graphic designer. At first, I was kind of cheap and did it myself. And then with Nathan's critical feedback, he said that, oh no, we need to get someone else involved.
That's a nice way to put it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, look, I think one thing when it comes to the product design from our experience is to find just a really, really great designer and be prepared to spend, that few $1,000s extra just to make the product awesome. So, yeah, that's one thing that has been a real game changer for us, because there's a lot of drink bottles or water bottles out there, but we've been able to make one that looks like absolutely awesome, really have high perceived value, and in turn, it's become a product of choice.
Okay, so let's talk about finding a great designer. Where did you look to find your designer?
This was actually a mutual friend that helped me with my other company. So I was kind of fortunate. He was ex-head of design at 99 Designs. However, you don't have to know anybody. From my experience, the best place to find incredible designers is using a website called Dribbble or Behance.net. So these are like online resumes for graphic designers. So what designers do is they put their best work that they're most proud of on like Dribbble or Behance.net, and you can run searches for all sorts of things, and you can manually reach out to these designers. And yeah, that's the best place to find incredible designers, and some at a really cost-affordable rate.
If you're a listener out there, and I think a lot of people might feel this way, where you don't feel like you have a design mind, you can't really tell for sure if the masses will appreciate the designs that you personally like. When you're out there looking for a designer on Dribbble or Behance, how do you identify what is a good designer or a poor designer if your goal is to create a product that is visually stunning to your target market?
Yeah, well, look, I think one thing that's kind of design or something that looks good is an opinion of like it's very personal. But I think one thing that's really important, and this is something we should mention actually, Emily, was when we got the design mock-ups done. Like, we both loved the design, but we actually asked other people, and I think that's really, really important. Getting the samples, or not even getting the samples, getting the photos or the images or the mock-ups and showing people and actually asking for open, honest feedback, even if you don't know the person, or asking randoms or friends of friends, or putting on, your personal Facebook page, getting as much honest feedback as possible. That's very important.
Yeah, because if I asked you, it would, be a biased opinion. So, I don't like to admit this, but I used to be an Instagram influencer. So I had my audience provide feedback on whether they liked the idea, whether they would buy the product, and just like general feedback on the design. So yeah, I was lucky to have that audience to reach out to. But I joined all these health communities on Facebook groups just to validate my idea as well. And then I used the Start and Scale community because I know there's a lot of like people going through the same thing with starting an online business and finding their product as well. So that was really helpful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think you mentioned that you did have the kind of head start by being Instagram influencer. But if you're not Instagram influencer out there, you're still saying that you can go into these communities and still get the feedback you needed. Now, do you remember what kind of feedback you got, and like, what changes did that lead to?
Yep. So we had a few different colors of the bottle. Yeah. So we had a black one and a white one, and people just leaned more towards the cleaner, like white looking version. Yeah, some people said that it looks like a baby's bottle with all the time markings. So yeah, and then people said it looked like vodka bottles.
With the frosted, yeah.
Got it. Okay, so when you were putting these mock-ups or prototypes out there to get feedback, how do you ask for it in a way that is going to get you the honest feedback and not just people being nice?
I think in these Facebook groups and stuff like that, or if you're in a community of like-minded people, I think if you just put yourself out there and just openly ask for honest feedback, I think sometimes people are prepared to be pretty critical because everyone has an opinion, and you just got to try and get it from as many sources as possible. So try random Facebook groups, try your own personal Facebook profile, Instagram profile. And then, just ask close friends or family, but really push them just to be honest with you. And I think once you get all of that, and then if you really want to push yourself, I would highly, highly recommend, but I know it can be something difficult. If you do have a sample, you could just ask random people. I know during the time of this recording, that might be a bit difficult because we're all in lockdown. But look, I think I've heard stories of people doing that, and they've had a lot of success.
Got it. Okay, now once you get this kind of feedback and you're ready to go back and make changes, when you're going back to working with the designer, either for the first time or to go back to get changes made or to provide the feedback that is, how do you work with the designer in a way that gives direction, based on where you want to go, but then also gives them that runway for them to do what you hired them for?
Look, from my experience, when it comes to working with designers, I think the best thing you can do is find somebody that you really, really love their portfolio of work. And if you really love their portfolio of work and they're a really great designer, like a lot of the times what will happen is there actually won't be as much iteration or changes as necessary. So that's always been my thing, is like, how do we find a really good designer that has a lot of experience that, can kind of quickly, intuitively work out what you want. You show them examples, and then the first version is hopefully around 70 to 80% there. So you're not kind of, butchering and going up and back and have like 15 different iterations, which I actually have experienced as well with designers that perhaps aren't, up to kind of the I guess skill set that I'd be looking for. So, I think it starts with the designer and their skill set. And if they're, really solid, then you can get it to like 70, 80%. And then, coming from an iteration standpoint, it's kind of like, hey, I really like this part, I really like that part, I really like this part. But from my experience, designers are, good ones are really easy to work with, and they get it, almost there usually on the first time.
Got it. Okay, so the most critical part of working with a designer is to spend that upfront work finding the right designer.
Yeah, from my experience, and then also being prepared to spend a little bit of extra dollars, just because great talent is not always cost affordable or really cheap. But you can find a great designer and get your product designed for a few $1,000s. Like, we're not talking tens of thousands of dollars here, like only a few $1,000s, right? But you got to find a mixture of both, where you're not paying that person like $100, right? Like you got to be prepared to go, you know what, this person's really good. I want to really compensate them for their talents, but it'll make the process 100 times easier. Yeah. Because Emily, maybe you should, like Emily's working on a couple of other products right now. I'm working with a different designer, but this person's really good. The first mock-ups that she sent, like, just amazing, So
she sent about, 15, 16 designs for the new bottle. And I just told her my favorite ones. And then from there, we'll just stick to those kind of, designs and, just keep working on those and seeing what we come up with.
Mm-hmm. Do you recommend to find a designer, or is it necessary to find a designer that has designed similar products, or what's the filter that you judge a designer, or that you need to use to make sure that a designer actually makes it into your kind of like consideration set?
Yep. So with our first designer, I don't think he had any experience designing products before. He mainly did. Did he mainly do?
Yeah, you mentioned it. Yeah, our first designer, he mainly did digital graphic design, which is kind of crazy when you think about it. Like, I didn't even think of that. But yeah, look, generally you want somebody that has experience designing e-commerce products or they're a product designer. But from my experience, yeah, look, I think you can find, like, if a designer's really talented, they can create the coolest stuff. And I think that's the big takeaway I think that people need to have is, like, you want to make your product look awesome. I think that's one place you should spend like a little bit of extra money or a little bit of extra time finding the right designer. Because, yeah, if you find a really talented designer, like, yeah, they can do some incredible stuff, and it pays itself in gold over like the long term.
Yeah, I don't think would be where we are now with the design I first came up with. So, yeah, really important to invest in a good designer.
Well, I do want to, I think a key lesson here is that do get started, right? Don't just, wait around. I think it's good that you took the efforts to try it out yourself first, and then you got immediate feedback, right, from Nathan. So that was that first round of iterations at least. So at what point were you saying, okay, let's take this to market? At what point did you see the product where you're, okay, this is good. Let's take this put this online?
Yeah. So, after we received a few samples and I was like 90% happy with it. We decided to launch.
Yeah, we did a pre-sale, right?
Yeah, we did a pre-sale. We built up our Instagram account before we launched. So we did a few teasers here and there and then slowly started building our following and then kind of directed people from our Instagram to the wait list to pre-order. Yeah, and then Facebook groups as well.
Well, let's talk about the pre-sale real quick. So I think you mentioned that you built up the Instagram account first. I think this is important for a lot of people because they might be in this waiting period where they're either getting it manufactured or they're working through iterations of the prototype and they want to do something with their time. So tell us about this. Like when did you start building up the Instagram account?
Yeah, so I think what happened was what we did was we used the photos of the sample and the mock-up of the bottle as the teaser, and we created content that was relevant to our target market as well. So we had a rule that we posted once per day because to grow an Instagram account you have to keep it engaged, and Instagram, it's a bit funny, but yeah, you just kind of have to, if you can, post at least once a day. Otherwise, you just lose engagement and it's just really bad. So we started building up that account at least 3 months before we launched, right?
Yeah. So it wasn't necessarily posting photos of the product all the time to begin with. It was we had quotes. We used just photos from Pinterest, and just created kind of like a mood board, and then.
Yeah, but it was the content was relevant to the target market that we wanted to attract, people that would be interested in their health and wellness. And if we didn't have different photos of the product or samples of the product, it was kind of, photos that we would find on Pinterest or, like Emily said, a mood board. And so that was 3 months beforehand. So if we tried to post probably around once a day in preparation for the launch, and tried to build the email list and the wait list for that product. So we just send people to the Shopify wait list on the store. And before we even had the product ready, we did the pre-sale and we made a few $1,000s. How long do people have to wait? I can't remember to get the product. It was a few weeks maybe.
Yeah, probably a month.
Yeah, a month.
So we used to we had a 3PL in China to begin with, just because we wanted to keep costs low and we were bootstrapping the business. So we had a few problems with the shipping to begin with. So they waited 4 weeks for the product to be shipped to them because it was a pre-sale, and then because we had not so reliable shipping, it was another kind of 3-4 weeks on top of that. I was inundated with emails from customers saying, where's my order? Can I get a refund? I've waited too long. That was one of the struggles we had early on. but since that, we've moved to a warehouse in the US and Australia, which is where most of our customers are. And it's been the best decision for our shipping.
Yeah, so I definitely want to talk a little about this building up the Instagram some more, because I think you two are like the power duo of building and using Instagram on this podcast so far. So you mentioned creating content that was relevant. I think a lot of people out there understand that, I got to create content that's relevant. Is that like a gut feeling, intuition, or how can you do this research-based approach where, okay, you want to start building up your Instagram, you want to create content that's going to attract that right target audience? How do you know, I wouldn't say objectively, but how do you take steps to make sure that you are at least have some kind of guidelines for what kind of content you should post on your Instagram?
I think Emily, you probably should best ask this one because you did all that work. Yeah, I kind of helped. Yeah.
So because I don't know, our target audience is like females between 18 to 30. I know that, they like all the pretty pictures. That's why they're on Instagram as well. So, we created a visually appealing feed, and then, kind of incorporated the water aspect into it, and just, I don't know if it provided facts as well. So they knew how important it was to drink water. So I think that was a great way to set up the account, or set up the for the launch.
Mm-hmm. And was content alone enough to build the following, or were there other ways to get some followers onto your Instagram?
Yeah, so we did a couple of things strategically to build the audience before we launched. The first thing was posting regular content at least once a day. This is before we launched. Even before we launched as well, the second thing that we did was go to competitor products and, engage with their buyers. So as an example, we know that there's a company, probably best not to say, but we know that there's a company that sells like over $100 million a year of drink bottles and water bottles, right? And so we can go and we can go to their page and we can search in the hashtags that, people are buying that particular product. And, they're posting photos of that particular product, and we can, very organically and, authentically engage. And, I think if you do that at least, anywhere between 20 to 50 times a day in a non-spammy way, you can start to really build a curated small following of people that are really, really engaged, that are interested in products like this. That was one thing that we did. And then also, I think the more that you post over time, you start to build up a bit of a following. And then once we launched, we can talk about what we did post-launch, how to build the following. I think it's like 60,000 plus now. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, so I like this. I like this approach because this is like actual work that anyone at any scale can get started by doing. Now, when you talk about engaging with your competitors, brands, like their hashtags, and engaging with those Instagram users, are you just like what does it mean to engage? Are you just sometimes you'll see that obviously spam a lot on a lot of these profiles, and they're dropping kind of like not really valuable comments. They might be, oh, cool picture, stuff like that. How do you actually engage with an Instagram user, Instagram audience in a way that makes them actually want to come back and check out your profile and hopefully follow you?
Yeah, so there's no kind of hard and fast rule, but one thing that's really important is identifying people that are buying a similar product to you. So if it's a big business and they have a hashtag and they've got 50,000 people using the hashtag, and when you look at that hashtag, it's photos of the actual product, the competitor's product. Yeah, I don't see it as a bad thing to perhaps as a company follow them, look at their most recent photos and actually write like something that perhaps is, acknowledging something like around that photo, and it's in a non-spammy way, like, oh, great photo, whatever, like, you know what I mean? Like, that's something that we did in the early days. I think I think there would have been a small proportion of people that if because we know that they're buyers, there's a big difference between somebody that's a buyer and not a buyer. And if we know that they're interested in buying these kinds of products, that, yeah, if you do that over time, it compounds. So to answer your question, what kinds of things would you engage with? Just, acknowledging their photo or their latest photo, in any way, shape, or form, maybe even providing some humor just as a bit of fun. And then, following them. And, you do it in a non-spammy way, though, like no more than maximum 20 to 50 people a day. Like you have to be very, very careful. You don't want to, really push the boundaries and try and do it with hundreds. Definitely like between that range. But one of those people every single day, if you do it over a couple of months, one of those people every day might be a potential person that buys your product or actually really engage, because what's really powerful is we know, one, that they're a buyer. We know, two, that they're interested in products like this.
And what did you identify in their posts or their activity on Instagram that flag them as a buyer? Are they posting pictures with the competitors' products, or what are they doing exactly that allows you to say, okay, this person has bought products like mine?
Yeah. So if we searched the competitors' hashtag, it would show the photos of that competitor's bottle from an everyday person like you or I. So we know that they're a buyer. We know that they're interested in products like this.
Hey, real quick, if you're enjoying the show, please leave us a review on iTunes to let us know what you think or what you'd like to hear more of. Now, let's get back to the interview. Got it. Okay, so you mentioned you built up the Instagram following, and then you drove them, I guess, throughout this process to a pre-sale page where you collect the email addresses. What was the incentive for someone to leave their email address for that waiting list?
Crazy enough, it was just like launching something along the lines of launching soon. Sign up for the wait list to get to get an early bird special or something along those lines, right?
Yeah. We did have an early bird discount.
What did the landing page look like? Did they actually see what the finished product looked like how fleshed out or how far along in your manufacturing or design process can you start driving people to a pre-sale page or a waiting list page?
So on that landing page, we did have a photo of the product. So they knew what they were receiving. But I think you can, so we started directing people to that page when we were manufacturing. But you can do it as early on as like before you place the order.
Mm.
Yeah, you can also use that as a way of validation. I think that's an interesting question because if somebody signs up to your wait list or your email list and they know what the product looks like or what it's going to look like, you can use that as a way to work out the interest in your product. Like if heaps of people, like if you're prepared and know how to do Facebook ads or anything like that, if you're prepared to go and show 5 different products and on Facebook and go, okay, these are the different products, and then run it to the same audience and then see what the take rate is and what, your cost for a lead is, you can quickly see which is, the most desirable looking one. That's something to think about. But yeah, look, I think we started doing it once we knew for certain that's how the product was going to look, and we chose our manufacturer and got the sample and paid for the production.
Got it. Okay, so when you had this landing page set up that was, linked in your bio or however you were driving them from Instagram, when they landed on that landing page, was it just email collection or was it actually putting on a credit card and pre-ordering the product?
Oh, it was just their email address, and then we sent them an email after with an early bird discount, just closer to us be like the manufacturer completing the order.
Okay, so when you were building this email list, you weren't necessarily asking them for a pre-sale order right away. It was once you got closer to the release.
Yep. So we built up the interest list. I think we had at least a few hundred people. From memory, it was closer to maybe 300 to 500 people that were on the interest list. And it took a while to produce the product. And yeah, like we even did a pre-sale before the product was ready. But when we were getting close, I said to Emily, look, we got to do something. So we, sent, I think, about 5 emails over a 3 or 4 day period, just saying, hey, we're just about like we're running a launch. And I remember a couple of weeks before we were showing sneak peeks. We had photos of the product in manufacturing. So like product, I think that looked really cool. And we showed photos of the boxes, and we got people to respond, like, hit, we typed like, we wrote like, hit, write back to us if you can't wait for the product and stuff like that, and tried to build up a little bit of engagement around the pre-launch and a bit of hype. And then we did a campaign which closed at a certain time period with that special offer ending.
Yeah, I think a lot of people out there might have hesitation with selling something before it exists. Obviously, it's worked for you, it works for Kickstarter, it works for Indiegogo. A lot of people are doing this. For anyone out there that was just doing this on their own, how do you message it in a way that it gets people to be interested in paying for something that doesn't, might be in progress, or might be in process of being created, but doesn't exist yet? How do you message in a way that still gets the sale?
I think one thing that's really important is to just be authentic around the fact that the product's not ready and you're going to get it on X date, or we estimate it's going to be X date. And yeah, it is kind of scary. I think if you look at Kickstarter, that's always a good way to think about it. People are always prepared to do that. Fortunately, one thing as well is we, because of that course that we created with Greta for my other company, we had email templates that we could use. Those were proven email templates that she'd used for her products every time she launched a new product. But I think it's just one of those things with the messaging. You have to write an email as if you were writing to a friend. I think that's really important. Emily, is there anything you want to share maybe?
Yeah, so because it's a pre-launch, I think they just want to kind of know what stage we're at, and just being really open with them, with updates. I think that's what, will work really well.
For sure. I think what ended up happening is, I think what you guys have gone through was sometimes the fear that a lot of people had, which is that people getting angry, like, where's my product? And if there's delays. Talk to us about how you handled those from a customer service standpoint when people were maybe unhappy that they haven't gotten their product yet, or they maybe didn't realize there was a pre-sale. Like, how do you handle that from a customer service standpoint?
Yeah, Emily handled that. I might get her to jump in. But I think this is one thing that's really important is when you do a pre-sale, like, be prepared to refund people. If people don't understand, or they're like, for whatever reason didn't read like in very clearly bolded text that this is a pre-sale, that the order is coming in like X date or X amount of weeks or X amount of months even, just be prepared to refund people. I think there's actually nothing wrong if people are really unhappy and they're like, hey, I was misled or whatever. That's fine. Just refund them. And because there are some people, like the majority of people, that just really want the product and they're prepared to wait. And that's how you know if you're onto something. If people are really prepared to wait and, like, as long as you set expectations, I think setting expectations is the most key part with a pre-sale. And, how did you handle them, Emily? Like, all you can really do is just be kind and pleasant and, like, you maybe jump in, like.
Really be really clear with them that, it was a pre-sale. And if they still don't understand, I would offer a refund. But, I don't know.
That's kind of the best you can do, right?
Right. Yeah, it does seem like once you offer the refund, they're kind of, they have nothing else to necessarily complain about at that point. So I think that's reassuring that there's always a solution if you're obviously able to offer the refund. So let's talk about the actual creation, the manufacturing of the product. What was that process like to find a manufacturer?
Yeah, so I found my manufacturer off Alibaba. I did get a few samples from a few suppliers, but I thought this one was promising.
So I was going to ask, how long did it take to find a manufacturer?
Yeah, pretty much. Like, I think it took like at least a good couple of months to find a manufacturer. And I think the key parts to take away there is kind of we were going up and back and like wanting to get the samples. There was a couple that we used where that we weren't happy with the sample, right? And that takes time. It actually takes a bit of time, probably more time than we thought, going up and back with different manufacturers on the sample, being happy with the sample and getting the product right. And then also being confident or having that confidence to say, you know what, I'm going to spend a bit of money on like a minimum order quantity of stock, like thousands of dollars, and it's going to actually be done, and the work's like it's not going to be faulty and all these different things. And then you've got to get the product inspected and stuff like that. And we used Asia Inspection to make sure the product was all good, and like everything was done that was said. And if there were defaults, they would fix it. So if there were faults, they would fix it.
Awesome. Now, when you were producing this for the first time, do you remember how large that first order was? Like how big, how much inventory did you order at first?
So we ordered, I think we ordered 3,000 units to begin with. I think that's usually the minimum order quantity for most of these manufacturers. But yeah, that was with our first design. The second time, when we made our second order, we slowly increased it just so, just as we gained more confidence with that manufacturer.
That makes sense. Now, when you were ordering that first time, like that was more inventory than you had pre-sold, or how much of a difference was there between how much you had already pre-sold and how much you had to order?
Oh, so yeah, look, we did the pre-sell and, excuse me, we did the pre-sell. And that was like once we'd placed that MOQ order. So once we ordered the 3,000 and they were being made, et cetera, et cetera. And then after like maybe a month or so, we did the pre-sale.
Got it. Okay, makes sense. Let's talk about then moving those units that you guys got. So you mentioned to us that influencer marketing on Instagram at scale is how you've been able to grow this business again to what we mentioned earlier on as a 7-figure business at this point. Talk to us more about this. Like, how do you first start off? Like, let's say someone out there has never even engaged with an influencer to do Instagram, to help them advertise on Instagram. Where do you begin? Like, what's that first step to getting your first influencer?
Yeah, so I think it's important to identify the type of influencer for your business, and also, just finding who's the best fit. So I came up with a list of criteria for the influencers, and then just started reaching out to them via email. Just because we have such a low cost item to produce, where we can afford to send to hundreds of influencers per month now. We would send the product as a gift, or have like a contra deal with the influencer where they would post in exchange for product. And then sometimes as the business matured, we paid for sponsored posts. Now,
you mentioned a list of criteria to start, and obviously the product was able to be manufactured cheaply enough in order for you to be able to send out as many products as you could. For anyone out there that needs to be more selective, what do you recommend for that list of criteria? How do you identify whether an influencer is going to be a good fit or not?
Well, I think at the beginning, you can kind of pick people in the different niches and see what actually works for you, and then decide to go down that path. For example, we worked with a vegan influencer, and it didn't work too well for us just because I think our audiences just didn't align. We didn't really work with vegan influencers for sponsored posts anymore. But what really worked for us was working with YouTubers and reality TV influencers, just because, they've got a big following or a big audience that has their trust because, they've been on TV, or they just, can communicate with their...
Yeah, look, I think when it comes to identifying influencers, the best ones to work with are the ones that suit your target market that you're looking for, and it takes trial and error. So as Emily said, we're in a fortunate position where the product is relatively low cost, where we can afford to send out to many. So we just sent out to many subsections of the market. So we sent out to fashion bloggers, we sent out to fitness influencers, we sent out to even vloggers. We sent out to people that in all sorts of different niches and markets. And then we could kind of see when somebody posted what that result would be, and we kind of refined it. So it's a little bit of trial and error.
Mm-hmm.
In regards to kind of choosing the influencers. We're always looking for ones with good engagement. I think that's a really good takeaway to have. You don't just want to send to anyone or work with anyone. And I think it's really important as well to actually study their account, like spend, that extra couple of minutes. You can't spend the time to can't spend like 10 minutes or 20 minutes on each individual account. But there's a tool that you can use called Social Blade. So if you go to Social Blade, you can look up that Instagram influencer's actual Instagram account, and you can see how many followers they are either gaining every day or losing. Now, if they are losing followers every day, there's actually a high possibility that they've bought followers or their account is just not engaged. But if you find an account or an influencer that is growing every day, and you look at the engagement of like their past 6 to 12 images, and you can see that there's real people commenting and they have an actually really strong relationship, then that's somebody that you should be open to working with, because it's not the size of the following, it's the relationship that influencer has with their audience. And the more that they're prepared, the more that the influencer spends time on video, so doing daily Instagram stories, or they do YouTube as well, then the stronger the relationship they have with their community. So when they use the Healthish bottle and they, if they want to, we don't even ask people to post if they don't want to. We actually just say, look, if you love the product, we'd love for you to share it and share it with your community or your fans or your audience. So we want to create a great product that people really love and they're happy to receive for a contra deal or a sponsored post or whatnot. And yeah, they want to recommend it because it's actually changed their life. It's like an incredible product. And I think that's a big takeaway for people is people think, with influencer marketing, it's like, what can I take from influencers? And it's not like that at all. This is something I learned from the High Smile guys, and they're massive. It's about that. What's the win-win for the influencer and for the brand?
Okay, so I think just to recap, you mentioned casting like a wide net of different niches, different channels, even whether it be YouTube or Instagram, and trial and error, see what works, what doesn't work. And can you tell us about how do you measure success? How do you measure if a relationship with an influencer is worth continuing or not, whether it was a good fit or not?
Yeah, I think it's twofold. One is the content that you get. I think that's something that people often mislook is for us right now with Healthish, we don't have to create any content because we have so many of our customers and also influencers working with us to create this incredible content for us every single day. So if you look at the content that we produce, it's for our stories and for our Instagram feed. It's created by our community and our fans and also influencers. So that's a big thing. To create content all the time takes a lot of work, and that part we've now outsourced by crowdsourced, which is, I think, something that's really important. So the success of the content, how good it looks, how engaging it is, that's the first measurement. And then the second measurement, of course, is, do we see a spike in sales? We just want to get the product into the hands of as many people as possible. So, I think that they're the two kind of measurements of success. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. Now, when you actually tactically measure this, is it just do like a discount code, or how do you actually identify if the sale is driven from a particular influencer?
Yeah, so we do provide an influencer with a unique discount code. So that's how we can track how effective their post was. Sometimes, when they post on their story, we get a huge influx of sales as well. So yeah, that's how we know whether it's worked.
Mm-hmm. Now, in all the deals that you've done with influencers, like what is the ideal deal that you always want to work towards, like in terms of how often or what are they posting, when are they posting? What is the that ideal influencer relationship?
Yeah, so from our experience, once you work with one influencer, that kind of result kind of dies down because I think what happens is an influencer has a core group of, like let's just say they have 100,000 followers. There might be only 1,000 to 2,000 that are like their core group. They might, watch every video, or they might read every post, or they're just really engaged. Their level of attentiveness is very, very high, right? So if you do a post with them, let's just say 100 people from the 100,000, they've got 1,000 or 2,000 of really their core group that just love everything that they do, or whatever, right? They're a big fan. And let's just say 100 buy from that group. Once you want to work with them again, the results really deteriorate very, very fast. And that's something that we learn from trial and error. Like if we worked with an influencer, let's just say we sent them the product and they posted on their Instagram stories and we noticed a massive spike in sales. Then we're like, oh, okay, well, maybe we might want to do a paid collaboration with this influencer. After that, we'll do the paid collaboration and you'll see a big boost in sales because they post on the feed. Getting influencers to post on the feed versus stories always brings a better result, we've found from testing. And then let's say we want to work with them again. When we work with them again, the results are nowhere near as good as the first time. So we tend to just kind of, if we do pay, we only really pay once. And that's what we've found.
Got it. Okay, so that is why you have tried to scale this up, working with influencers at scale rather than repeating a deal with an influencer. So what does it mean to go at scale? Like how many influencers are we talking about at this point?
So our goal is 300 influencers a month to send out product to. I think I've been a bit under that the past few months, but that really works well for us. And then when I speak to these influencers, they're just like, oh yeah, I've seen your product. It's just all over my feed because we've sent to so many people. So it's really good to get your brand out there and just share it with everyone.
Awesome. So we talked about a couple of resources so far. We mentioned Dribbble, Behance, Social Blade, the courses on Founder. What other resources or tools or apps do you guys rely on to run the business?
So for us, social proof is key. I swear by looks. It's really easy to use and just, you're able to send just email reminders to customers to write in a review, and then you can also offer a discount code. FOMO is a really good app as well, and Back in Stock, which was when we sold out of stock, it was really easy to integrate, and as soon as we updated our stock levels, it was just an email was automatically sent out to the people on that list.
Yeah, so I reckon that that FOMO tool, that Shopify FOMO tool, that's so cool because it automates your follow-up on getting reviews. And how many reviews we have now?
Looks.
Oh, sorry, yeah, Looks. Sorry, let me say that again. Yeah, so that Looks tool is like, I believe it's one of the best tools out there because it automates your follow-up on to get reviews from people. And if you look at like our site, like how many reviews we have now? At least a few hundred.
Yeah,
at least a few hundred. And we can use that on the checkout page. We can use that like as a standalone page because what people are looking for is if they've never heard of the brand, which is a lot of people that are coming to our website or, they've kind of found out about the product. They're looking that, they don't have a very high trust level. So how can we increase that trust? It's just from sheer volume of reviews from my experience. And that Looks tool really helps us.
Awesome. So healthish.com, healthish.com is a website. I'll leave you this last question. What do you think needs to happen this year for you to consider the year a success?
I'll answer first and then I'll let Emily. For me personally, I think for us, we've got some revenue targets. Probably best not to share what they are, but for us to bring out some more products, I think it's going to be really important to bring out some more products that really help people, like not just in the water bottle space. Like we've got the water bottle, we've got some complementary products around that. But yeah, I think it's going to be really important to bring out some products not in that space and build out our recurring revenue and just kind of diversify and not just be a one product business. That would be success for me.
Yeah, no, me too. And yeah, obviously still continue with the influencer marketing, but we're also doubling down on Facebook ads too. So
so getting that working as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time, Emily and Nathan.
Thanks so much for having us.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Shopify Masters, the e-commerce podcast for ambitious entrepreneurs powered by Shopify.